So what we will discuss, we will go from impact factor to H index. So these are two different indexes or different matrices. One matrix is regarding the journal and other one is related to the author. So what we will cover in this session, we will cover all the aspects related to the author as well as journal selection. So we will try to understand like what does actually these indexes meaning or these matrices meaning. So these matrices are very important. It's not like it's not a kind of thing that you need to know to understand the academic profile of any kind of any professor or any researcher. But when you go in industry, these matrices are also used. Like I'm talking about the author matrices. So then you will also analyze the author's profile for the KOL, like key opinion leader or some advisory board. If they are running advisory board, so they will tell you, okay, we need some KOL, key opinion leader, which has expertise in their field, like they spent 20 or 30 year in the domain, and and the client want, okay, we need the KOL for this advisory board. So on then what when how you will select those KOL? So based on their matrices, one of the parameter is like their H index, their I-10 index, and there are other parameters you need to take into consideration while you are selecting for some any kind of advisory board or any kind of other panels. So these are also required for the industrial perspective as well. It's not like, so that's why I write over here like these matrices are kind of matrices that every researcher must know. So before going to the session, so let me start. What is the importance of these matrices? As I told you, what we are going to do, we are going to cover these in two aspects. Like one matrix are the journal related matrices, okay, and another one is author related matrices. So important thing is these matrices are revolve around the citation. Important thing is you need to understand what is citation first, because all these matrices are revolve around the citation. So what is citation? So first, basically citation, I can say citation is a kind of representative or a collection of money. We can say it's a kind of the earnings of a researcher or earnings of a journal. So these are depicted like what we said. Okay, this researcher has a citation of 1,000 citations. So okay, he is very a reputed citation scientist or researcher. The people are referring his work in so many ways. Like he got 1,000 citation. So it's a kind of earning, and the it is the one of the most important earning that a researcher or a scientist or a professor can earn these while their work. So whenever he or she will contribute to the scientific domain, so scientific domain, what it will do, scientific domain will use his or her work to design his lab or her lab work, and based on these references he or she will use these references as a reference. And when these papers or these work used as a reference, and one reference is count as a one citation. Okay, important thing is you need to understand like the citation will only reflect, it's not like, okay, let's suppose you write one thesis. It's a kind of understanding. I'm just developing your basics, so you just understand, okay, what does exactly meaning the citation and when the citation will reflect in your profile. It's not like, let's suppose, let me tell you one instant. Let's suppose you are writing a thesis and you cite someone's work. Okay, you cite xyz references. This reference or this citation will not reflect in the profile of an academician or professor or researcher until or unless your references or your document is published. Once it go online in the scientific domain, then this references or this citation will reflect in his or her profile of a researcher or author. I'm just taking it as a consideration because in a thesis, so many theses we are writing, and so many time you will see some kind of aspect like you cite a reference, but and thesis reference will never reflect in the profile of an author or a researcher. So citation will only count when the paper or the manuscript. Let me tell you one another instance. Thesis is a big part. When we break down our thesis into some other kind of document like two manuscript or three manuscript, so this is the manuscript, or we can so this will reflect once it got published. This will reflect in the profile of a author or the researcher which you are using their work, or as a citation, or as a you are using their work for the methodology or some kind of referencing you are using. So when we will try to see, let's suppose when we will go to some platform and check the citation of particular authors, try to understand these citation are only those citation which someone use these references in their manuscript, not in their thesis. Important thing is this: it's not like we are using their reference in thesis and it will count. Yes, definitely it will count, but it will not reflect in the uh, his or her online profile, like the platform we are going to discuss. No, but definitely where you can find these references or these citation, I will also tell you, like where you can. It's not a kind of exact measurement, but we can try to see how we can check these citations, like the citation in the thesis or other kind of document. So this is the earning. We can say this is the earning, and one more important thing is these citation are totally depend on the field to field. It will vary on the field to field. It's not like that in the biological science. If an author has a 1000 citation, we should compare with the author. Okay, one author from physics or mathematics has a only 200 citation, so that means this scientist is more reputation has as compared to this physics one. No, this is completely a different, and the citation will completely vary in the field, in different fields. So the basic funda is, whenever we will compare any authors or we will compare any professor or any academician, so that the comparison should be within the field. If we are comparing two authors, so it's the author should be, or the researcher should be in the biological domain, or in the physics domain, or in the mathematics domain. So there is one also a matrices which normalize these this type of differences. Are also going to discuss that. So these are very important because they will provide you the exact the value or the contribution of the to the scientific domain. So definitely a researcher published his or her work in a journal. So of course the citation is coming over the manuscript which is published in the journal. So definitely, if the citation is coming on those document which are published in the journal, so definitely journal can also calculate, and journal are also can develop some kind of matrices, or there are some kind of matrices that can be used uh, to detect or to use the measure the reputation, or measure the we can say the quality of that particular journal. Why I am telling the quality of journal, we are going to discuss. So these are interconnected things, like once researcher will publish their paper, it will go into the journal, and both the kind he or she will also get his matrices, and journal will also get his or matrices. So both will get matrices, and both will determine how the journal is performing, how the researcher is performing, and what kind of work they are doing, and the work they are doing is real, what kind of contribution it is going giving into the society or scientific society. So it's a kind of important matrices. So that's why it is important to understand these all matrices to understand the performance of journal as well as authors. One more important thing, these can be manipulated. So it's not like ideally we can see so many researcher, you will find, okay, in 1 year they get 5,000 citations. So these are kind of manipulation, and how they can manipulate, we are also going to discuss, like what kind of manipulation they can do. Because sometime we can observe, like there are some journals, or there are some authors, they have a very uh, high amount of citations, but their reputation is not at that much good. So we will also going to discuss. So with that, let's going to our first matrices, which is impact factor. So impact factor, what does it denote? It basically, it's a journal matrix. We can also call these kind of things as a bibliometrics, bibliometric indexes. So what it reflect basically, it reflect the average number of citations. So I already told you what is the citation. So it reflect the average number of citation received in a given year by the article published in the journal during preceding 2 years. Okay, we are going to let's calculate some do some calculation so you will understand what does it meaning. So let's suppose a journal X has first thing is to understand it. The impact factor is calculated based on the paper published in a journal in 2 years, or the citation received in in the publication or in the published document in last 2 years. Based on that, we can calculate the impact factor. So let's suppose if we are calculating the impact factor of any journal in 2024. So what we need to do, we need to first understand, first calculate how much paper a journal published in 2023 or 2022. So in these 2 years, last 2 years, like 2023 and 2022. Another thing we need to understand, like how much document, how much document is published and how much citation are there in these document which is published in 2022 and 2023. So this is important. Once we get this information, we can calculate how, what formula we can use to calculate. Like this is the formula. What we will do, we will calculate, as I told you, citation in year X, like 2024 कैसे होगा फिलहाल x minus means in first year and second year, like in 2022, in 2023, and then number of article or number of citable document. As we all I think I don't know whether we discuss this in the live classes or not. So citable item is like there are some kind of other document which are not in citable form. So we are only talking about here in the citable document only, how much document are published in the particular journal which are citable in nature. So this number we need to calculate, like in 2022, in 2023. So let's suppose we let's just ignore this and let's calculate in just a rough example. So let's suppose in 2022 we get 100 citation, in 2023 we get 200 citation. Then the document published is 10 in 2022 and 20 in 2023. So how we will divide 3000 by 300 by 30? So it will come around 10. So what does it denote? The impact factor of this journal will be around 10. This is how we can calculate this. Let's take another example. So let's suppose we are calculating a impact factor of a journal in 2026 right now. Okay, so what we need to do, we need to first understand the impact, the citation that received on the document in last 2 years. Like let's suppose the citation received in 2025 plus 2024 divided by the document published in 2025 plus 2024. So let's suppose we received 1000 citation in 2025 and 500 citation in 2024, then divided by, let's take 10 documents over here and 5 documents over here. So if we told 15,100 divided by 15, so it will come around 100. So that means the impact factor of this journal is around 100. So these are only rough kind of calculation we are doing. It's not like we are doing any kind of journal calculation which is having an impact factor of 100. No, these are just a rough calculation to understand you how we can calculate the impact factor of particular journal. So what we understand for calculating the impact factor, so what does it denote? Basically it denote or assess the importance, the relative importance or influence of a journal within its field. Like let's suppose if two paper, what it actually denote. So if a journal received more citation on less document, let's suppose a journal only published 10 document or 10 citable document or 10 citable paper, but it received 10,000 1000 citation. So that means each and every paper published in that particular journal received around 100 citation in that particular time period. Here also same, like the impact factor 10, what it denote? If impact factor of 10, that means the every paper that published in that particular journal, it's a kind of average. Try to understand, it's a not a kind of mandatory thing, it's an average number. Like the average number of citation in that particular journal, if we are, our paper is published in that particular journal, so it is believed that our paper will receive at least or average of 10 citation in a year. That's a kind of that's a kind of meaning of impact factor. So because it is also possible like one paper will receive 20 citation, another one receive 0 citation, but once we calculate its average, it will come around 10. So that kind of situation will also be there. But ultimately the main object of the impact factor is to calculate how much citation. So that's the main important thing. It will also like you can understand, okay, the more is the impact factor is, more citation you will get on your document. So that's the basic thing. But the important thing is, as the citation is increasing, the journal acceptance rate is also reduced in some instances. It's not kind of thing you can target some high impact factor journal with a data that does not fit into the scope or fit into the as per the requirement of that particular journal. No, we need to target the journal which is in compliance with our data in scope of our study. So that's the basic idea. But if your paper is accepted in 8 impact factor, so that means you are going to get 8 citation in a year in your document. That's a it's a not a kind of sure assurance, because it will vary. In one year you will get 4 citation, in another year you will get 12 citation or 15 citation. So that will vary. So now we will go to the site and try to check some impact factor, like where we can get these impact factor of the journals. So So if we directly go to the journal site, let's suppose if we go to the one journal like International Journal of Biological Macromolecule, or let's suppose whatever is coming on the first, we can directly go to this. Like this is one journal. It is an International Journal of Refrigeration. So where we, it's a kind, in case of elsewhere where you will find this impact factor. So this is here in the front page, you will find the impact factor over here. And if you click on over here, who will give the impact factor? Try to understand it. The Clarivate, or we can say the Web of Science, will provide the impact factor of particular journal. So this is also important. You need to understand, you need to remember this. Web of Science provide the impact factor of a journal. So the journal, this journal has an impact factor of 3.8. What does it mean? So each the average number of citation in the document which are citable in nature in that particular journal will receive around 3.8 citation in a year. So that's the number. Another thing is site score. We are also going to discuss this number. So this is also important. We are going to discuss. This is a kind of similar score as we discuss in the impact factor, but there are some different calculation. This score is basically provided by the Scopus. We already heard like, okay, Scopus index journal. So what basically it means, where when you check any journal which is indexed in the Scopus, you will find some, it will have some kind of site score, whatever it is, either it is 0.001 or 0.02 or 1 2 site score. So it must have some kind of site score that denote it index in the Scopus as well. So this journal is basically indexed in Scopus as well as Web of Science. So if we check any kind of journal, like let's suppose pharmacological report, pharmacological. So pharmacological report, it's a kind of different publishers, like it's a Springer Nature's journal. In this case, you will find impact factor over here. Like this is the impact factor of 2024. They did not update it like in 2026, but it was in 2025. So 3.8 was impact factor of this particular journal, pharmacological report. So another thing is 5 year impact factor. So if you want to calculate 5 year impact factor, it's a very simple. Instead of 2 year, like where we take 2 years of a citation or the document that published, so we will go for the 5 year. So definitely then it we will come to the 5 year journal impact factor. So now come again to the slide. So similarly, as I told you, the site score will also be similar kind of matrices like what we discussed in the impact factor. So how we will calculate? There is very fine difference. Let me tell you. So instead of 2 year, what we will do? We will calculate the citation received in 4 year, and then the number of document published in 4 year. Let's suppose we are going to calculate a 2026 the site score in 2026. So what we will do, we will go for 2022, 2023, 2024, and 2025. But this is only applied to the impact factor. Let me tell you, whenever we are calculating the site score, we should also take into consideration of 2026. So what we will do, we will calculate for 2023, 24, 25, and 26 till now. Then we will divide it by the number of document published. Let's suppose in these 4 year we had they have a citation of 100, and then they publish 10 papers. So it means 10 site score will be there. So that denote basically it's a kind of citation itself. So it also denote in last 4 year the how much citation your paper will have, like 10 citation. So 5 year, what we will do, we will add one another year for 5 year impact factor. So that's the thing. The important thing is when you calculate the impact factor, you need to take from over 20 to here, and the year you are calculating is not involved in the calculation. But in site score, you need to take into consideration of that per year as well. So that's the difference in site score as well as impact factor. Now let's move toward the another important aspect. We will go in the another we can say a matrix, Imago journal rank. So what does it do basically? There is a one platform. We will go to this platform and try to check how we can calculate. So what this SJR Simago journal rank is a prestige matrix that what is measure scientific influence of journal. So what it take into the consideration? It will take into the consideration of number of citation and where the citations are come from, like the prestige of that particular journal where the citation are receiving, that also they are also taking into the consideration. Like in earlier case, what we are doing, we are also we only taking the we are only considering the citation, no matter where they are come from. But in this rank, what they do, they are taking into the consideration of citation, the number of citation, as well as the prestige of that particular journal where the citations come from. This is also important. So that means this the quality wise, this rank is more qualitative as compared to the impact factor, because so many, if you find so many people are now preferring the SGR ranking as well. So to understand, so similar kind of approach they are following. This is for the 3 year citation window. As I told you, it is quantity as well as quality. Quantity, number of citation, and quality, the prestige of that particular journal where the citation has come from, right? So how it will do, it will normalize the total number of document published, the similar kind of approach like we already discussed in case of impact factor as well as site score. But the thing is, two things are consideration. Earlier is what we called as earlier is the quantitative approach, what we are calculating. This is qualitative as well as quantitative, both kind of approach in the we are following. So now let's go to the SJR. If you type Shimago journal rank, so you will directly open this platform. There are two things. Either you can directly write the title of that particular journal, or you can also calculate the there are three things you can check over here: journal ranking, journal value, as well as country ranking. So if you click on the journal ranking, you will find these are the top journals. Like let's see a cancer journal of clinicians. So this is the top journal which is having a highest SJR. See, 104.006 Q1 journal. H index, how much H index? 230. Total document they publish only 48. And in 2025, in last 3 year, 127. And total references to in 2025 this, and total citation this much. And citable document only 76. So all these kind of information you can find over here, like how much document they publish, how much citation they are in these document, and how much percentage of female percentage in this citation, and number of publications. So all kind of information you can go over here and calculate and check directly. You will find H index, everything you will find over here directly. So this you can follow. Another way is like we can also go to the some second approach. Here journal value. See, SGR, total docs, and these kind of similar kind of aspect approach, but here you will find the estimated value in USD, like what are their models of earnings, or how much the value of that particular journal is in we can say in earnings, or some kind of other aspect, like how the APC. Let's suppose the APC's article processing charge, they charge is 7,700 around. So there, once the total article is published, you will multiply by this, so that will totally come nearby this amount. So that's a kind of uh, value of that particular journal. In this is only apply for the open access journal, or kind of journal which are working on the paid kind of or subscription based, like the earning here is denoted in these particular journals. So it's in that way you can find the value of that particular document. So now these are three parameters. So another parameter is, as I told you earlier, like citation vary as per field, like it will vary the field by field. There is no such comparison, like you can compare the citation of that field of biological science or in physics or mathematics. So this will vary. So the another indicator, another matrix is this. What does it refer to? Is source, normalize, impact factor, impact per paper. So it is a kind of matrix which basically normalize the impact factor based on the subject field. So how you calculate the citation impact per paper and citation potential in that subject field. So you normalize the all as per the field to field. Like it's not kind of there. If you are going to compare two different kind of journals, or different kind of different journals, like one journals from biological science and one journals from physics or chemistry, then you need to calculate the SNP score for these kind of journals to compare these. So that will basically come with the SNP score. So these are the four important bibliometric matrices, we can say. Like these allow basically to understand the journal's value, or journal's contribution, or journals like the paper or the citation journals are receiving. And these are the things that journals are also promoting on their website, like okay, this is our impact factor, this is our site score, this is this, and you can assess them. And people are going to submit their manuscript in the journal which are having a high impact factor and high kind of these matrices. So this is one of the aspect you should take into the consideration while you are submitting your manuscript in these particular journals. So two things is very important. Oh, other things are also important, but right now, if you also see right now, most important that each and every one of us know about impact factor. So these are the two things that each and everyone must heard these terms, either heard or someone of you also know these terms as well. So these things you are also taking into consideration, but the other things like SNP and Shimago, you can also take into consideration while you are selecting any kind of journal, because it is also important. If the journal, let's suppose, as I told you, in a case of SGR, they are also taking into consideration of the quantity or quantitative approach. Like they are also taking the prestige of that particular journal. Let's suppose the paper is published in XYZ journal, and the paper is received the citation from the Lancet journal. So that means this journal has a reputation. So the document are the kind of nature that the Lancet can use, and nature can use these papers to cite in their documentation. So that is also important thing. So that's why you also take into consideration while you are selecting any kind of journal, or you are going for the submission of your manuscript in any kind of journal. So these things you can also take into consideration. So now with this, we are going for the another aspect. Like as I told you, these are related to the journal. Now we are going to the author related matrices. So there are few author related matrices as well we are going to discuss. So the first is H index. We all know, like we are all aware, like H index, I index, we heard these terms. So now we are going to understand what these actually are. So H index, what it measure? It measure both productivity as well as citation impact of a researcher. Like what we are generally told, okay, if a author has a high impact factor, that means his profile is very good and he is a very reputation in particular field. Yes, sometime, and there are many institution and many things you will find, like okay, in many advertisement you will also find who can apply for this, those who have an impact H index of 19, H index of 20, these kind of things you will also find in some kind of advertisement. So H index is also considered as a very good impact or a very good matrix is when we are taking into the consideration of authors profiles or researchers profile. So what actually it meaning H index, so we need to understand it. Like the H index meaning in simple, what we can say, it means the number of, like the number of paper which is having at least H or more than H citation. This is very confusing. Let's take this one example over here. Like this researcher has a 9 paper. And here this paper has a 25, 19, 12, 10, 7, 5, 6. So if you calculate the H index of this, so we need to calculate, like, okay, one paper. Let's suppose this 9 paper. That means now we have to calculate whether these 9 paper have citation of 9 or more than 9. So if you see, we have a 0 citation over here, we have a 1, we have a 3. So we don't have 9 citation over here. Still, we need to find over here. So that means this author don't have a H index of 9. Then what it will be? We need to go again. Like one paper, okay, one citation is there. If we come go to the 2, we are we you can consider this as a H. If H is 3, so we need to at least 3 citation or more than 3. Okay, this is fulfilled over here. If H is 4, then we have at least 4 citation or more than 4. So, okay, this is also acceptable over here. Now H is 5, then we have can see the 7 citation. That means it is also satisfied over here. Then come to this 6 as 6. So at least 6 or more than 6. So this is not satisfied over here. So that means this author has an impact H index of 7, sorry, 5. We need to check and take into the consideration of H. So that means this is the index of particular H index is 5 in this case. So what I will do, I will just take you some Google Scholar profile and we will calculate directly these kind of things. So go we will go to Wasim Akram profile. Okay, if you open, let's open a random profile. I don't know whose this is, but okay, let's here you can find these are the citation. These are the total number of citation received in that researcher particular from 2023 to 2026, and this represent like since 2021 how much citation are there. So from 2021 he received 95 citation and H index is 6. Now we will check. First we need to do what we need to do, we need to arrange these references as per the citation. Like once you align these as a citation, so you will get, if you click over here year, so you will get these references or these citation as a year wise. But to understand the H index, you need to first go through or check these references as a, oh, 1 second. So by the cited by, so here these all references or these citation will come in a descending manner. Like the first one has a 34 citation, then 19 citation, 12 citation, 9 citation, and 7 citation. Now we will calculate, okay, this one meaning has a h1. So h1, if you consider h as a 1, so it should have a 1 citation. Okay, here it is following. Then 2, so minimum 2 or more than 2. Then 3, minimum 3 and more than 3. 4, more than 4. 5, or at least 5 or more than 5. 6, or at least 6. So till now you can see here the h rule is following, but here only 2 citations. So if the author, when it will get h index of 7, so once this paper got 7 citation in that particular, then it will update it to the 7 citation. So that's the simple meaning of this h index. If you go to another profile, we will see another profile. This this having an H index of 21. So you will, once you will calculate, you will find, okay, 20 till 21 the rule is following. Okay, the at least H citation or more than H citation is following. After 21 it will not following the same. So that's why the author has a citation of 21, sorry, H index of 21. So that is the meaning of H index. So if we again calculate, let's suppose a author has a 5 paper, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. On one, it has a 10, then 8, then 7, 3, 2. Now, if you calculate the H index, then okay, 1. So, if we consider this, the H should be more than H or equal to H. So, here it is following. Okay, here also 3. But in case of 4, you can see, if you need to take into consideration this paper when once it gets citation of at least 4 or more than 4, then it will come to the H index. Now the H index is here only. So this author has a H index of 3. So that's the way how you can calculate. Once you go to the some profile and calculate this, then definitely you will get to understand like what is the meaning of this. So it basically reflects the quality of that particular. Here you can find the quality, the citation received, as well as quantity, the number of paper, or each and everything you are getting over here. But important thing is here, this paper already, also this author published this paper, but if this paper does not receive any kind of citation, so it is not taking into consideration of this paper, because H index will only take into consideration of those papers which are following the H index rule, like they must have at least H citation or more than H citation. So for these, there is one another index we are going to discuss, that all that are also taking into consideration of these kind of papers as well, which is having a zero impact, zero citation or zero these kind of papers, or 1 citation or 2 citation as well. So now if you understand this, so there is another I10 index. Like I10 index is basically developed by the Google Scholar as well. So it's a simple, like the number of papers published by the authors which is having at least 10 citation or more than 10 citation. Simple. So if a paper has a 10 citation, it will come under the I10. So let's suppose, let's take example, similar kind of example, like this author published 10 paper. So we can see, okay, only 4 paper has a 10 citation. So what we can say, the I10 index of this particular author is 4 point. So that's mean, if let's suppose here also 10 citation come, or we can say 12, 11 or 10, in this case how much I10 index will be? 6. It will be. So this is how we can calculate. Ideally we don't need to calculate these matrices, these are already calculated and shown in their profile, but we need to understand how these are calculated. So this is a very simple and straightforward. If you see, it is developed by the Google Scholar. It's a very simple. It's a kind of simple and straightforward index like I-10 index. If you see in Google Scholar profile, it is reflected in beneath of the H index. Let's see over here. Like these are total citation, then H index, and then I-10 index. The around 35 papers of this author has a at least 10 citation or more than 10 citation. Important thing is this paper has a 225 citation, but it is also considered as a one paper in I-10 index, like the paper, because it's a simple formula, like the paper which is having a 10 or more than 10, it will considered as a one. So these are the papers, see, 55 citation, 55 citation, so many citation, but it is considered over here as a, so till here, these, till here the paper are considered under the I-10 index. So once it will get the 10 citation, it will also come into the I-10 index. So it will go into the 37 I-10 index. Then it will, if this paper will also get one more citation, then it will come to the I-10 index of 38. So this kind of approach generally followed to calculate these indexes. So now the another index is G index. So for this, actually, this index is generally not, you will not find in the Google Scholar or some kind of other platform, but there is this particular platform. I will show you. There is one platform. So where you can find this number of G square. So what actually I told you earlier, like there is a one matrices which is also considered these papers. Like these papers has a citation of 0, but these are also taken into consideration while we are calculating the G index. What actually G index meaning? So for to calculate G index, simple definition, if you see, the definition is like a set of paper has a G index of G if G is largest number of such that the total citation of the G most cited paper is at least G square. So it is very difficult to understand. And so we are going to just try to understand some calculations how we can understand the G. So first, to calculate the G, what you need to do, you need to arrange all the papers in a descending order, like 25 first, then 19 in a sequential manner, like 10 paper and in a descending order. Then you need to calculate the cumulative citation. Like here, you if you calculate this 25, if you add this one, like in 25 plus 19 is 20, 44, then 44 plus 12, it's 56. So we are adding this, it's a kind of cumulative. So till here we reach to the 82 cumulative of citation. Then what we need to do, we need to take G square. So for first paper, it's a 1. If a 1 square meaning 1. So if our paper has a citation of more, it is 1 or more than 1, so it means G index is 1. So let's suppose in 2 square, 4. So we need, okay, this is also following, like our paper has a 44 citation in cumulative, that means it more than 4 or equal to 4. So similarly, we need to check, like 3 square is 9, 4 square is 16. So we need to calculate 25. Similar kind of approach we need to test until we see, okay, for here if you see 9 square is 81, so that means here till here the G square rule is following. So that means G index is 9 for this author. But if you come to over here, so 10 square means 100. So the author should have only G index is 10 once it has a citation, cumulative in citation of 100 over here. So but it's less, so that's why we are not taking into consideration of this paper. But till here, see, this paper is all zero citation, but it is also considered into the G index. So that's meaning of G index. It's a kind of cumulative approach, and it's a kind of approach which take into the consideration of those paper which are recently published, but they are published and don't have any kind of citation. So these kind of papers are also taken into consideration while we are calculating the G index. So there is one platform, or there is a software, Perish or Publish, where you can download that software. If you go to the Google and Perish and Publish software, if you open this software, you will find these are the, see, these are the profile. If you calculate, if you click over here and you will type an author's name, like let me type my name, so it will search. over the Google Scholar or some, it will take all the articles which are related to the Shakil Ahmed, either Shakil Ahmed or any Shakil Ahmed in the world. So if you see, here are my paper. So if I click over here, this is my profile. If you see, this is Shakil Ahmed profile. So this is telling you how much total paper, 30, cited 818. This is cited by this, H index is this, G index is this, HI index, each and everything you will get in this particular software, and G index you can calculate over here is as well. But it's not at that much accurate. As I can see, my profile don't have this much citation, so I think it has more than this citation. But it's a kind of approach you can use to check, so I don't think it's updated. It's updated in last 2023, or that's why it's showing this kind of approach. So but you can go and you can check, but you need to understand the approach, how you can calculate these indexes as well. So I hope you understand these indexes.